Hey y'all, Nature Girl 30 here, and I got my favorite black tea. I got my mouse in hand. I honestly wasn't even going to do a review on this. I was just going to let it pass. But honestly, in the YWC, it has been a buzz, and it hasn't really been a buzz in the YWC in a very long time. And it's all about one thing: Daniel Bryan. It's all about Daniel Bryan. It's all about him turning to the Wyatt family. Something I did not know until I was told by, I was told by one person, and then I ended up finding out beforehand from the YWC on Twitter and everywhere else that Daniel Bryan ended up going to the Wyatt family. But before I get into that, I watched the whole show. I might as well talk about it a bit. But there's minimal things that I do want to talk about since it was a year out show. Like the 2013 was on its way out the door, and 2014 is, well, I'm doing this on Sunday after New Year's, so honestly, way after New Year's. So honestly, yeah, we get the idea. But I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about some of the actual matches that I really did enjoy. I absolutely enjoyed CM Punk's promo in the beginning. Like I really did enjoy the opener. I really did. CM Punk, classic CM Punk. Turn one person against another person against another person. The Shield was bound to break. And we all knew that Roman Reigns was the strongest link, and we all knew that Dean Ambrose was the weakest. And Seth Rollins is kind of in between. But we all knew they were going to break. It is great how CM Punk did the classic CM Punk and turned everybody against one another, because let's face it, they all knew that that Roman Reigns was the strongest. Hence why he didn't say anything. But on SmackDown, there's probably something I'm going to watch. They're going to actually have a match going on, which already happened. So there's really no point of even going into SmackDown and having a review. But honestly, it was going to be for SmackDown, but y'all already know the outcome of that. But another match that I really did like, before I get into that one, let's go to the Divas match. You guys know me. Y'all know me. Y'all know I love my Divas. And y'all know that I'm going to talk about my Divas. So I'm going to talk about my Divas briefly before you guys shut it off, because I know how dudes don't like the Divas and how they think they're a waste of space, even though I don't think so. But anyway, I really do feel that Eva Marie will come into her own if she stops being so freaking scared. Like, you can tell when you see her on Total Divas, for those that actually watch the show, she's really good in what she does. Like, she's really starting to improve. But the only problem that she has is stage fright. She goes out there, she's afraid of messing up, and she gets stiff. You can tell. But they're trying to make her more of a heel for the whole Total Divas thing, and she will be a great heel if she gets over her fear. But honestly, it's all about Brie. Now, congratulations to Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan for being married this past. I think they just got married a few weeks back. So congratulations to them, to Mrs. Danielson, as well as Mr. Danielson. Either or, they're married now. Woohoo! And Nikki is just probably gritting her teeth because she has no idea when John Cena is going to marry her, and it may not even happen. But I still wish them both well anyway. Regardless of that, Eva Marie will be a definitely breakout star if she just gets over her fear and stop thinking about executing it right and just execute it and just keep practicing. I think she'll be really good. She'll probably be one of the best heels that I have ever seen since Mickie James. Mickie James was the absolutely hands down best psychotic heel in the Divas division. Nobody could touch her. People say, oh, Lita and oh, Trish. No, Lita was an anti-hero. Trish Stratus was a typical sexy heel. No, she was more of a vixen than an actual heel. Like, she was more of a vixen, and the vixen can kind of go back and forth. And they kind of play with you psychologically, but they use her body to do it, and that's what she did. But Lita was an anti-hero. Can't really say that she was a heel. She did whatever she wanted, and it worked. But Eva Marie has this type of personality that could just be a true, downright, I don't care about you kind of heel. And it will work for her if she just gets over that fear and stop being afraid of losing her lines. If she becomes more free with that, she'll be great. But honestly, I know the Funkadactyls actually have their own. They're coming out into their own. And I really do hope that one day that Eva Marie somehow tags up with Alicia Fox. Because in my opinion, I think they'll have really great chemistry. But that's how I see it. But that is if they actually start doing Divas tags. But let's move on from there to one of my favorite matches of the night. Now, let me go back a few steps. Now, I have my personal thoughts on Batista's return, and that's going to be a discussion that's going to be coming up soon. But do I care about the old school night that's coming up? No, because let's face it, it's just another ploy for ratings. They're desperate for ratings. Their ratings has not been that good for a few years now. It's been bad. So they're doing everything they can to pull out the whole legend card so people who are my age can enjoy it. I'm not going to enjoy it because I've seen it before. Come on, bring up something new, guys. And I'll have my thoughts on Batista later. But their two announcements of the night was about Brock Lesnar making his return, and also Stephanie's announcement was about Randy Orton versus John Cena for... Okay, here's the one big thing that bothers me, and I'm going to make this a brief rant. Why on earth were you going to waste your time, waste our time, and waste so much hype in unifying the belts, only to be calling it what has been called for so many years? The WWE World Heavyweight Championship? That's what it was beforehand. Why didn't you just call it the Undisputed title like you did before? Or the Unified title like you did before? You went back to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? That's what the WWE belt was before. Really? Good grief. It's like they're really starting to lose their minds. It's not even lose their minds. They're not even using their brains right now. I don't know what's going on with these people. But anyway, moving on from there, let's go on to the match I absolutely positively want to talk about. I want to talk about Daniel Bryan's face-off with the Wyatts. Not so much Bray, but the other two, Rowan and Harper. Now, it was a good match. Daniel Bryan gave it his all. He always gives it his all in every match that he's in. Here's my biggest gripe about what happened. Now, they probably want to have a more realistic angle on how Daniel Bryan would take it and why he would do what he did. For those that haven't seen it yet, and more than likely half of y'all already did since it kind of blew up all social media, I did not agree on how it was done. They made it to be more realistic to where the machine is not going to allow him to get the belt anyway, no matter how many wins he has, no matter how over he is, no matter how over his chant is, and no matter how many slammies he gets, he's still not going to have a title shot because of how he looks. Now, I understand why they put that realistic angle in there. It makes sense for this day and age. But my biggest gripe that they had was I wanted to make it more kayfabe-ish. That's just me. I'm old school. When they had the opportunity to do that, they actually, when they took out Daniel Bryan and they had him hoisted over whoever was holding him, it was a Rowan or Harper, when they had him over his shoulders and dragging him out, they could have did a whole brainwashing angle, and that would have kept his whole face personality, his whole face status intact, because it would have made people think that he was brainwashed. And also, if they involved Brie in it, when she knows something funny's going on with him, then it would have still kept his whole face personality. It wouldn't make people turn against him. Now, people are probably not going to turn against him. All kids can be like, come back to us. And all they do is going to be like, meh. You know, it's going to probably be like that. Maybe half and half. Who knows? But honestly, people are saying it's a bad idea. Some people think it's a good idea. And people who really think it's a great idea are probably marks. So they don't really count. But the whole thing I feel about it is that it will be something different for the WWE. I don't mind the whole Daniel Bryan angle. It's something interesting to watch. But the way they did it, they made him break. It's something that I don't really agree with. His character is always never say die. He's always going and doing what he has to do to get to where he needs to be. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. But how he did it was he literally crawled to the feet of Bray Wyatt, climbed up to his waistband, still getting his sister Abigail, and being dragged out like a piece of meat. Like, that's beyond broken. That's like literally dismemberment of a character, in my opinion, especially for Daniel Bryan. I did not agree on how they did it. I still don't agree on how they did it. I still think they should have done a brainwashing angle, and it would have been more mild for his character to take a hit. But this is a permanent hit. Like, well, it's not really permanent. It's probably a temporary hit. But it's a hit. It's a huge hit to his persona. It's a huge hit to his personality. It's a huge hit. And I just don't agree with it at all. I don't agree with anybody being at the feet of somebody else and still being dragged out like they're nothing. Like, that's just me. But honestly, They did it. That's the whole angle. That's how they're going to do it. And more than likely, for the first few days, he's going to be like this. He's going to have his head down. He's going to walk out. He's still going to do the same thing that Bray Wyatt wants him to do reluctantly. And then he's going to deal with it, suck it up, and then be like going out and doing what he has to do. Just like how John Cena was with the Nexus. He did everything reluctantly. I'd rather have the brainwashing angle to where if he was brainwashed, he would absolutely have no feeling and just be a mindless drone and do what he has to do, and then somehow he's going to break. Somehow he's going to break that control and he's going to go back to how he was. I would have had that instead of looking like that he's still kind of shackled in chains mentally about what Bray Wyatt has done to him. But that's how I see it personally, guys. How do you guys see it? Leave your comments in the comment section below and send me a video response on how you feel the angle of the Bray Wyatt feud between Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan should have played out. And also tell me how you thought about Raw as well as SmackDown, because I am not going to bother doing a review on that show since it's already happened. It makes no sense. Unless something really great happens, and I might have a few snippets here and there. But guys, I will see you tomorrow night for Raw. Peace out, y'all.